How does a brand that once ruled an entire industry suddenly lose its edge? Sony used to be the undisputed king of TVs. They were so popular that they sold about 10 million TVs every single year, but they somehow fell off the cliff. If you were a TV enthusiast, chances are you didn't think about buying another brand. Sony was the go-to choice for the best TVs, much like how people see LG's OLED TVs today. But then, something changed. Despite their massive popularity, Sony's dominance didn't last. In 2006, the title of the most popular TV brand was shifted to Samsung, a spot they haven't given up since. What happened to Sony's reign? Even though Samsung became the top-selling TV brand, Sony was still seen as the best when it came to quality. It was kind of like comparing Toyota and Mercedes. Toyota sells more cars, but Mercedes is known for making luxury cars. So, even though Mercedes wasn't #1 in sales, many believed they still made the best TVs. But things started to get worse for Sony. Not only did they lose to Samsung, but soon they also fell behind LG. This was a big deal. It wasn't just about losing sales. Sony was losing its reputation as the best TV brand. For the first time, LG and Samsung were becoming the top choices, taking Sony's place in both sales and respect. TVs used to be big if they were around 40 to 50 inches, but now they come in sizes like 70 to 80 inches, and the picture quality has improved a lot. We've seen new trends like curved TVs, 3D TVs, OLED, QLED, Neo QLED, and even 4K and 8K resolutions. This rapid change in technology was largely driven by Samsung and LG, who together now control almost half of the global TV market. For Sony, this was a major setback, but it didn't stop there. It wasn't just LG and Samsung taking over. Soon, another brand, TCL, started to shine. What's surprising is that TCL didn't even enter the North American market until 2013, yet they quickly became a strong competitor. As if that wasn't enough, another Chinese brand, Hisense, also surpassed Sony in sales. In the worst times, Sony was losing up to $6.4 billion each year from their TV division, with so many other brands dominating the market. It's clear that Sony has a long road ahead to reclaim their place among the top TV manufacturers. So, what happened to Sony TVs? Before Samsung and LG took over, Japanese brands like Sony, Panasonic, and Sharp were kings of the TV world. But things changed, and now Panasonic and Sharp aren't even in the US TV market anymore. It makes you wonder how these big names faded while other brands took their place. Sony is now struggling to keep up, and understanding why might offer clues to what's coming next. What went wrong for these big TV brands like Panasonic and Sony? It's easier to pinpoint the turning point for Panasonic because they were further along in their decline. It all started when they moved away from plasma TVs. For years, Panasonic was the top name in plasma displays. They were always pushing the limits, making bigger and better plasma TVs. Back in 2010, they even came out with a massive 152-inch plasma TV. Interestingly, plasma TVs never really went out of style. Many TV enthusiasts still say that plasma offers the most natural picture quality, but despite that, Panasonic shifted focus and plasma TVs slowly faded from the spotlight. This change played a big role in their fall, showing how quickly a brand can lose its edge when it drifts away from what it does best. Even though plasma TVs had great technology, they became too expensive compared to LCD TVs, cause LCD TVs could be made much larger for a lot less money. And when it comes to buying a TV, most people care about size than the best picture quality. Despite this, Panasonic kept making plasma TVs and stayed on top of that market, but there was a big problem. Plasma TVs eventually disappeared, and that left Panasonic with nothing to sell. Their TVs became obsolete. This decline is a good lesson for Sony. Like Panasonic, Sony was once a leader, but they could face the same fate if they don't keep up with what people really want in their TVs. The rise and fall of Panasonic shows how quickly things can change in the tech world if you stick with outdated technology. And I mean, unlike Panasonic, Sony didn't completely mess up with LCD or LED technology. They quickly left the plasma TV market in early 2005, which helped them avoid some of the same pitfalls, but that doesn't mean Sony wasn't outpaced by others. Back in 2008, Sony put about 22 billion yen, or $140 million into the OLED panel production. But do you know how much Samsung invested in OLED that same year? A whopping $529 million. That's a huge difference. But Samsung didn't stop there. They kept pouring money into research and development. Soon, they were making billion-dollar investments, and now they're investing tens of billions of dollars. Even a great product needs an even better marketing campaign. However, Japanese brands, including Sony, preferred a more organic approach to marketing. They relied on word of mouth. customer loyalty, and a solid reputation to keep people interested. In the late 1900s, this approach worked well, as Western consumers were looking for trustworthy brands that they could recommend to friends and family. But as the 2000s rolled around, and especially with the rise of the internet, the way marketing worked changed completely. Companies needed to adapt to the new ways of reaching customers online, and traditional marketing approaches weren't enough anymore. This shift in marketing puts brands like Sony at a disadvantage, while companies with a more aggressive marketing strategy like Samsung thrived. If you're talking about top-of-the-line TVs, you could say LG makes the best OLED TVs or TCL has the biggest ones, but most people aren't buying those fancy flagship models. It's actually kinda silly to spend big bucks on a top-tier TV, unless you have cash to spare, because TV prices keep dropping fast. For the average person, all the mid-range TVs are pretty much the same. They offer decent quality at a more reasonable price, so when it comes to choosing a TV, most people aren't interested in the most expensive models. They're just looking for something that fits their budget and still looks good. Having a bigger marketing budget is just part of the story. Samsung also creates unusual products to get people talking. Remember the craze around 3D TVs and curved TVs? Samsung led that trend, and they've even come up with things like wall TVs and transparent TVs. These out there ideas grab attention and generate buzz without relying solely on traditional marketing. While we've talked about several reasons why Sony's presence in the TV industry has shrunk, the biggest blow has been the rise of Chinese brands like TCL and Hisense. One of the key reasons Sony became so dominant in the past was because they could offer quality products at a lower price than the Western brands like RCA and Philips. This ability to deliver both quality and affordability was something Japan as a whole was known for, whether it was cars, gaming consoles, or TVs. Japanese brands were known for providing more value for less money. One big reason they could do this was because they had cheap labor and control over making their products, but now China has taken over this role. In the past, Chinese brands weren't known for great quality control or customer support, but by working closely with brands like Apple, Nike, Ray-Ban, Chanel, and many other big Western names, Chinese manufacturers started to understand what Western customers really want. Take TCL for example. Before they entered the North American TV market, they used to supply TVs to Samsung. They got to see up close what it takes to become a market leader. This experience taught them a lot, but they learned to invest in research and development, create eye-catching products to build brand awareness, and form key marketing partnerships. Basically, they picked up on everything successful brands do to get noticed and grow. After helping Samsung for years, TCL figured out how to do the same thing on their own while undercutting Samsung's prices. Since then, TCL has been challenging the limits of price, TV size, and picture quality. They're even working on making 100-inch TVs affordable for regular people. Plus, TCL is now the official TV partner of the NFL, which shows how far they've come in terms of recognition and influence. What's happening now is that TCL and Hisense are doing to Samsung and LG what Samsung and LG once did to Sony, Panasonic, and Sharp, who themselves had once pushed RCA and Philips out of the spotlight. It's like a cycle of new players taking over from the established ones, each time offering better deals and innovations, all to attract customers. This shift is changing the TV industry landscape, keeping the pressure on the bigger names to stay competitive. Sony has done a better job at keeping up compared to these other brands, which is why they still have 5.7% of the TV market. But as TCL and Hisense keep growing, it's hard to say where Sony will fit into the modern TV market. And that's what's happening to Sony's TVs. Are you a Sony TV fan? Well, share your thoughts in the comments below. Also, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Until next time, see you all.